Hello, I'm trying to sit on the floor more. Did you know there's a no furniture movement going around? I don't know if you've seen it, where people are getting rid of their furniture. I'm not going to do that. I like stuff. I like beautiful things and I like furniture. And also, not everybody who comes to the house is going to want to sit on the floor. So I like to think of my guests as well. So hello, welcome. If you're new around here, I'm Jen, and this is my channel where I talk about all sorts of things, basically art, writing, decor, country life, slow living, knitting, cats, whatever kind of floats past my head every week. And my love, a few videos ago, I was telling you all how the internet was suggesting topics for me to talk about, and today it has suggested that I talk about the unexpected joys of slow living, which is a cool title and a cool thing to think about. And it's given me an outline and suggestions, you know, it's kind of making it all very official. So I haven't looked at that because I actually don't want to be told by AI what the advantages of slow living are. Also, not only because I don't want to be told by AI what they are, I don't want to share things with you that you could hear anywhere else, or that you could Google what are the advantages of slow living and it will tell you. So the unexpected in particular. So for me, I think the first thing to kind of marry together is that slow living for me has equaled moving to the country. They're kind of like intertwined for me. They're the same thing. But I want to flag that I never lived a fast-paced life in the city either, not particularly. I tried to always keep a check on that, although, you know, of course there were times when things were a bit frantic and all over the shop and I was swept along in the madness of it all. But, and enjoying it, I've got to say, as well, many times. So it wasn't all bad, that's for sure. And I do like to, as you know, if you watch this channel, I do like to get back to the city now and then and just sort of get into that energy. And that feeling of endless possibilities and endless stimulation, and it's a lot of fun. But you know, for me, moving to the country was about slowing down, but also just grounding. So I was craving ground. It might sound very odd. You know, like those pregnant women who eat dirt? It's like the body, there's something in, you know, in the dirt that the body craves. Well, I was like that by the time we left the city. I was craving dirt. You know, I used to walk every morning. I used to walk past the railway line because in that part of the city where we were, there was a lot of, what do you call them, like allotments along the railway line where people were, you know, farming their own produce and stuff on this sort of wasted railway land. And I just used to, you know, it was like a kid with their nose pressed against the lolly shop window, just looking at all this growth and lushness and these verdant, beautiful, you know, overflowing vegetable planter boxes and just the different smells and aromas. And it was just beautiful and so soothing because of, you know, by the time we left the city, you know, we'd been through a pretty rough time in our lives. You know, a lot of you would know what it's like when you're in your early sort of 50s and you're sort of, it can be a time of great transition. And you kind of, you know, they do call it a sandwich generation, and there's a lot to juggle around that time. There certainly was for us, and I'll talk about that in another video. But for now, you know, we've come to the country and definitely slowed down. And I think one of the unexpected one of the unexpected joys and surprises was that I didn't realise how jangled my nervous system was living in the city. And it took me a couple of years of living here to realise that my nervous system had really calmed down. So for instance, when I was in the city, I noticed that I used to get very anxious about the tiniest things. So for instance, I'd open my handbag and I'd be looking for my wallet and I'd start to jitter. Not shake, but there'd be this sort of jittery energy, like I've got to find my wallet, I've got to pay, I've got to get out of the queue, I'm holding somebody up. There was just always this sort of weird dialogue that wasn't even fully articulated. It was more a vibrational thing. Maybe it was this sensing that hurry, 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 hurry. That was also always playing in the background, and I used to notice that I would get anxious when I was looking for things in my handbag. Not to mention how it felt in the car, you know. So that's gone. And it's gone to the point where I can notice how it's gone and how nice it is. Like I open my handbag, I stand in a queue, I look for stuff. You know, I just feel normal again. I feel grounded again. It took me a couple of years to not be so anxious while I was driving because, you know, not that there's not road rage and, you know, dickheads are out there when you're living in the country. There are, but on a, you know, 1 to 10 scale, it's not that common. People are, generally speaking, way more courteous, and there's a lot more drivers around here that are just very happy to take their time. And there's also a big concern for the wildlife. So people are very, very aware that at any moment a kangaroo can run across the road or hop across the road, a rabbit can dart out, a bird can fly across. So it's wise to drive more slowly and more mindfully. It's just like sensible. And even within the town too, people, generally speaking, they're not so stressed. And also, how can you be late when most things that you go to are 3 minutes away? Like, honestly, there's none of that, I've got to get out because, you know, I don't know what the traffic's going to be like and I'm going to be stuck in traffic for 40 minutes before I even get to, you know, I remember like I used to live one suburb away from my evening art class, which was at 5:30. So it was peak hour that the art class started. And so even though I was in the next suburb, I used to have to leave half an hour before art. Sometimes a bit before half an hour was better because guaranteed, you know, you'd be sitting in traffic for a long time. So that's been another little unexpected joy of living in the country, just never feeling like you're going to be late because everything's about 3 minutes away unless you're going to the next town. And even that, you know, like this morning I got stuck behind a couple of really slow cars, but there were a few roos around, and I'm not an aggressive driver and I very rarely overtake anyway. And so, you know, I was driving to yoga and I was thinking, well, whatever, I'll get there when I get there. You know, people wander in late for yoga. No one bats an eyelid. It's not a big deal. There's none of that battle mentality that I see. The other unexpected joy that I've discovered since moving to the country, which is really weird, is that I have a lot more friends. And I'm not a very social person, so let's flag that. You know, I'm happy just to be on my own or be with David, or just, you know, when the kids are here, that's lovely too. But yeah, I'm just not very social. I enjoy my own company. I enjoy solitary pursuits, writing, art, gardening. They fill me up. They make me happy. They make me sometimes so excited I can't sleep because I'm working on a painting or a story or a YouTube video. You know, I like being alone. I like working at my own pace, and I don't look for social engagements very much. However, since moving to the country, I've got way more friends, but the friendships are very gentle and non-demanding, but they feel a bit richer because I see my friends more often, and that's, you know, not any reflection on people, you know, my city friends. I love them dearly, but there could be that you would only see them physically twice a year. You know, if they lived over in, you know, like South Melbourne or over the other side of Melbourne, and I'm over in Northcote, and you've got to cross the Chandler Highway or you've got to, you know, go through the city or something, everyone starts to get a bit tense, or you've got to go down Punt Road, or, you know, to get to see somebody. It can just make everything so much harder. And also, like, you would arrange to meet halfway in the city, and that could be nice. But there was still always that pressure of having to get back to the tram or get back to the train, and then a big journey home. Whereas in the country, a lot of the friendship, you know, our friendships develop so much by chance, you know, by running into each other down the street and just having a chat in the queue in the IGA, or someone just rings up and says, you know, like, there's nighttime bowls at the bowling club tonight, you want to come? And you just sort of go down to the bowling club and play lawn bowls under the lights and, you know, listen to a band, and you're home in 3 minutes. So it's, you know, like, we meet on country time too. That's a kind of a joke with our friends, but most of us, when we go out for dinner, we meet at 6:30. Dinner starts at 6:30 and we're mostly home by 9. Yeah, the timetable's different, which really suits an introvert like me, and somebody who likes to, you know, get up really early but go to bed quite early as well. So just that the rhythm of life is so much more gentle, and it allows you, I think, to go deeper with your thought processes, with your practice, your art practice, your life practice. It just, I don't know. And then from that, I've found that I have more clarity. So I can see much more the things in my life that I don't need, and that I can let go of, and that I don't even need to get involved with. Whereas sometimes in the city, I would just get swept away in everything, and I'd be saying yes to everything without too much reflection, if that makes sense. I don't know if that even makes sense, because there wasn't always time to reflect. Yeah, so I just find that slow living and living in the country has allowed me, everything settles down, and with that comes this sort of clearer thinking and more clarity around what I want to achieve, what I want to do, what my dreams are, how I feel about certain things that I will and won't have in my life and in my psyche. You know, again, for me, getting off social media, I see YouTube as a form of social media, but it's more creative to me because it's long form. So there's more thought in it, and I feel like the relationships that I form on YouTube, ooh, there goes a fly, you know, they're more sincere, perhaps, you know, they're not so like this, whereas Instagram and Facebook just wore me out. I knew I was worn out, and it's been really great for me to get off those platforms. I don't ever come out, though, saying you should get off social media. You do what you want to do. You do what's good for you. You do what you enjoy. You do what builds your career and builds your social life. Whatever works for you, go for it. No judgment. Maybe that's another, I don't know whether that's part of slow living or whether it's just getting older, but I just can't be bothered judging people anymore. Like, it's my opinion of what people do and don't do is of no consequence to them or to me. It's a waste of energy. So I'm just happy for everyone to just make their own choices about all these things. I can only say what works for me. So yeah, there are a few of the unexpected joys. I think the calmer nervous system, you know, the grounding, the clarity, the depth of friendships, the support. You know, when I was a kid, I used to love shows like I'm being very Australian here, but the country practice, and there was quite a few shows set in the country, and then later on A Place to Call Home, and those sorts of shows that they romanticize country living. I know that, but there's some merit in it. Like, there really is some merit in that, and I've discovered that there is a certain depth to living in the country and getting to know people more intimately. Again, a lot of people wouldn't like that. A lot of people really like the anonymity. I knew I wouldn't be able to say that word. It was coming out in the back of my brain. But anonymity of the city, they enjoy that, and I have enjoyed that over time as well. So, they say in the country, you're a local when you cross the street to avoid people, because you're in a hurry, and oh God, here comes so-and-so, and you just kind of, so you're a local when you start crossing the street to avoid people. People are people wherever you go, as Stevie Wonder would say. There's good and bad in everybody, and everybody behaves in different ways, and sometimes it's not very commendable, and other times it's incredibly compassionate and surprisingly warm and supportive. And these are the things that are just so beautiful about living in the country. Oh, there's another thing too that I've noticed too with my city friends. Sometimes I feel like I get to know them better too, because instead of ships in the night and instead of quick meetups, my city friends that do come to visit me here in the country, we get to spend, for want of a cliche, quality time together. They come to my home, they have a meal, they hang around, often they'll stay for another meal, we might go out for walks, sometimes they stay overnight. So that's incredible too, that sort of being able to spend more time with the people that you love and get to know them even better. Same with our adult children in the city that was coming and going from the house, which is beautiful. I'll never not love that. But also when they do come up, they stay overnight, and they might stay for a couple of nights. So you really get to have some very in-depth conversations with your adult children that you might not get if you were just living, in the next suburbs. So my intention here to have this chat is just to have a chat. I'm not trying to romanticize rural living by any means, or making these radical changes to your life. Everything has a shadow, of course, but I think this topic of unexpected pleasures, unexpected joys and surprises has been a really nice one for me to think about and to share with you here today. So I'm still kind of in my yoga gear here, but I need to get going. I'm actually really proud because I cleaned the bathroom today. Oh God, I hate cleaning bathrooms so much. I mean, seriously, once the mushrooms start to grow, then I start to think, I'm only kidding, but it gets pretty bad in there. But I cleaned the bathroom today, so I'm very happy about that. And I can't wait to get home so that he can notice that I cleaned the bathroom and I can feel so virtuous. Okay, now I need to go and clean the kitchen and make some dinner. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. I love the way the channel's growing. I'm absolutely thrilled, and I will see you in here again very soon. Bye for now.